Hello.
Last
Oh,
the last video, I was a bit stunned with what we sort of ended with,
right.
as in stunned. Oh, I've never thought of that. Stunned, it's so obvious, and stunned, I just found it laughable. To be fair, about how we, as a society, um, and it's funny. I've just been to a meeting where we've been talking about building safe relationships within services, health services for building safe relationships, but specifically around for people, helping people and supporting people who have experienced child sexual abuse. But what we ended up talking about last time was about how we normalise being lied to as a society, right from a very, very young age, right through even to adulthood. And it's like, how can we build safe relationships when, from a very early age, although we say it's laughable, it is actually being lied to and being manipulated by other people and adults. I don't know if you want to retell that situation that you were talking about.
That I was talking about. Well, really, I think. Let me explain it to you like this. Yeah, rather than retelling something, I'll explain it to you like this. There's a theory which I believe in. So when many people say that, you know, often say in an academic field that we don't use the all of our brain, we're only using part of our brain. And I believe that's true because there's a theory by a Frenchman called Jose Silver, and he studied the brain. He didn't have any educational background whatsoever. He learned French and English, that was it. He didn't have, and he taught in universities. And because he was so interested in the brain, his theory, and not just his, but his theory was that because we're only using one part of our brain, which is the left hemisphere, the less hemisphere, so it's like left side thinking. And so what we're doing then is he depicted it as and this was in the 50s and 60s. So from his research, he came up with and said 90% of humans, 90% of people, they look human, they kind of behave human, but they're not human, they're beasts. And only 10% of people are human, yeah, because they have compassion. So what he meant by that, if you want to kind of cross this between and say, okay, there's a map, so I'm going to put two different images here now, and the other ones are the levels of consciousness, Hawkins levels of consciousness. So the first level of consciousness that we're in is hell, and in hell, that's why there's blame, cruelty, abuse, and all those kind of things, because we're all in hell. So you're trying to be nice from a place of hell. It's not going to work. It's like being in a maze. They're in a maze rarely, but you're in a maze trying to figure your way out. But you believe in the maze, so you're kind of stuck there. Yeah. The only one is to not believe it and move out of it completely. And over here, what he's talking about is the beast. You know, being in hell is that we're nasty. We're nasty to people, and we're nasty to ourselves, and we're nasty to our children, and we're nasty to each other. And so that's when I say, when, as Dr. Sebi said, if you don't love yourself, you don't love anyone else. There are different connotations of love. There are love where you truly love yourself and you truly love each other. And there's another love that's a wanting. And so one of them is not in the hell consciousness, but the other one is. Because you might love somebody for a time, but I'll always love you for life now. I want to divorce, I can't stand you. So the one love's quite fickle. And it's you know, so, but the other love, it's remaining. And so there are two types of love. We feel the other love with our children, but not to the only to the extent that we love ourselves. What I mean by that is, if you don't love yourself enough to say, ask yourself as an adult, what am I putting in my body? What emotional, physical, and psychological junk food am I eating on a daily basis, or can I not be bothered? Shall I just believe everybody else that I get swayed to this side and this side? Yeah, and ultimately people are getting directed in different directions. They don't know if the person that's talking to them is telling the truth, but they just believe them. They believe one side, and then they'll argue with the other. They'll believe things that they said about people that they're not around, so they'll just believe what's said. And that's that is, we're just using one hemisphere of the brain. So the evil side of us is the side that tries to figure things out. So as you said, well, let's try and everything's always let's try and do this, let's try and do that. So you, somebody creates something and then everybody gets directed in like, oh, we're all going to go there. So what was created um, last year, what we were talking about was trauma informed. So everything was trauma informed all over the place. Now we've got a new buzzword, trauma informed. Everybody's going over there. We can sell it, we can train, we can do all these over here, yeah. And now we have another buzzword which I've been hearing: community. Oh, we're all a community now. Let's all go over here and be a community, 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 community. We're just still in the left hemisphere. It's just inside. So we try and figure things out, and then it dies down. Then we'll find another something else, and then we'll find something else. We're always finding something that we're being directed because someone will think of something else. So now what the thought of is what you've just said. Well, let's find safety. Why? Because I'm telling you that you're in danger. You see what I mean? So when you look at it, what we're trying to do is we're trying to be civilized with each other. We're trying to be doing that. But we're not being a being, because a being doesn't have to try all that. It doesn't exist. So we know that it exists because you become aware of it. So that's why his theory was we're not using the whole of our brain. Well, the reason why is when you're a child, you're supposed to be taught how to think, but we're taught what to think. And now we're taught what to think is, and from our experiences growing up, we learn nasty things from others and then we pass it on. So one of the nasty things that we learn, which we all think is brilliant, yeah, it's a tradition. No, it's like being in a cult. We can call it tradition. We can call it a cult. We can call it anything we want. Call it a community if you like. Call it anything you want. But it is what it is. You've got to strip these labels back and have a look at the bits that we don't look at. So let's take Christmas, for instance. Christmas, like everybody does it, don't they? Everybody does Christmas. Not everybody, but and then if people I don't celebrate, you don't celebrate Christmas. That's awful, you poor children. But it's not as awful as those that do, as I were brought up with to celebrate Christmas. To bring your child into the world and to lie to them. The very person that they trust your God to your child. The child looks up to you. The child, takes on everything that you're doing. It mimics you. It does all of these things. It's trying to learn, how do I survive on this planet? Lie to your children. So what we're going to do is we're going to break your heart as you go along. So you can't trust anyone. Because if I'm the first person you trust, I'm gonna hurt you. So what I'm gonna do, if I don't physically hurt you, I'm gonna mentally hurt you. And so when Christmas comes around and they tell you a story about Santa, I'm gonna get you all excited. We're gonna act out this game of putting carrots out and all this, and then we're gonna bite the carrot because we know we're lying. There isn't a reindeer, there isn't a Santa Claus, and I'm gonna break your heart when you find out that there isn't. So I'm gonna tell you that. And that's cruelty, but we normalize it. So that's why we do things and we normalize it. Oh yeah, but what if you tell a child they're going on holiday? Where do you want to go? I want to go to Disneyland. You tell them the truth. They're excited. If you said to them, do you know, once a year as parents, what we're going to do is we're going to buy you a present. Yeah, you can pick any present. Of course, they're going to be excited. So why do we need this story? We need these stories of lies because we live upon them. And it's like, how do we know there was a Santa? How do we know that was true? There's many different variations of it. How do we know that what we're being told is true? If you're looking around the world and you're seeing that we're constantly lied to, why are we going to experience a heaven when we're already in the hell consciousness? You can't experience it there. You might experience glimpses of something. And then what you're taught then is the only thing that make you feel good is the material world. And that's why it's called matter, because we make it matter so much. So that's my interpretation of that. And so we're not taught to be on the right hemisphere. The right hemisphere of the brain is not looked at really. It's looked at in like when you're doing yoga or meditation or things like that. People might not know that, but that's what it does. Your chakras are energy points to take care of your organs. So all of this is a love system, but it's been taught. It's not been, half of you doesn't belong in the material world, because that world, you can't buy and sell, but you can buy and sell this one. So you're supposed to teach a child how to think and open up, this because they're already more or less there. Open up. You notice with children, they're so happy when they're children, and then eventually they become very miserable at teenagers. They become very angry because you've just made them that way. Literally, by coming here, look, oh wow, I'm on this planet. This looks amazing. Ah, no, it's not. It's not so good, is it? And don't be doing that. Don't be doing all those things. You have to do this, comply. You just learn to walk. No, you don't. You're not using your legs, getting the pram and all this kind of thing. So what's in the right hemisphere of the brain? Well, your meridian lines are there. Your electrical system is there. Your nervous system is the one that makes you ill, and it also is the one that heals your body. And you're an energy being, and you're a spirit being, and so you don't get taught that side of the brain. So we're always on this one, and only when we start to use this and open up both of them, that you know that things start to change in our lives, and we start to feel better and things like that. But we don't have time for ourselves. So it seems very simple that you can teach a child it, and children learn um, very well at that age because they're not so programmed. But it can be very difficult to teach an adult that because we've been programmed for such a long time. It can be a battle of an argument going on, within your mind. So it's that. What happens is when somebody's got something, I'd say to it like this. So when you have, say, like you've got OCD, you have OCD, and when you're anxious, quite often we tap or we swing, don't we? We tap or swing. But people do tend to do similar things in OCD. So what there might be a tapping ritual or something like that. And so something that they did that they'd noticed, and then they'll do it 10 times, and then it's like, oh, that worked. I'll do that again. Yeah, that danger didn't happen again. I'll do that again. Now I feel safe, so I have to do it. So you do it, and then what do you do? You practice. And we practice illness. Practice it. Yeah, do it again. Do it again, and then it becomes a habit. Practice it again. And then it becomes an addiction. Practice it again. Now you're compelled. So what have you done with it? You've moved the memory of it now down to your body. So now your body's programmed with it. So now the body will just give you a feeling. And now you're compelled. Now I have to do it because I've got a feeling. Like you don't have to remember to smoke when you're a smoker. Your body is dropped down in your body just the same. It's dropped down in your body. Now your body gives you the urge. Now the body's taking it on. So that's what you do. You have the urge, and then you naturally do it now. So you'll think about it because your body's reminded you, I'm gagging for a cigarette. So that's the same with the tapping. I'm compelled to do it, and until I've done this cigarette, this feeling's not going to go. Yeah. So now it's like that. It's like that. So and then it becomes part of your personality. Are you a smoker? Yeah, I'm a smoker. That's me. That's what I am. Oh, that's my OCD, or oh, that's mine. But it's not you, because you're literally saying it's mine, like my bags, my shoes. So it's not you. So what can I do with it then to get rid of it? Well, you got it from here to here. Get it from there to there out. So that's what you do. So what do? I go to the feeling. I go to the feeling of it and do something, with it like that. But it's the and I'm just using that as an example. So we're always using the left side of the brain. So because the left side of the brain that we're using, and as I usually say, the prayer deliver me from my evil is this. So you were using that, and we tend to practice nasty things. We tend to create evil by as for ourselves, our suffering, by practicing nasty things. It's like no one ever tells you, well, I've practiced healthy things. You see what I mean? Because we're not over here so much, so we're over here doing that. And then when you ask somebody, did you do that practice they introduced to you? No, I didn't have time. I didn't have time because this over here is I'm far too interested in that. I'm far too busy in it. I want to get out of it. I can't stand it. I can't stand feeling anxiety. I can't stand feeling all of that. I can't stand it. But I don't want to do all about it because I've been taught all my life that somebody else will tell me, they'll feed me, and I'll eat the food, whether it's poison, got chemicals in it or what. I'll drink the water, no matter what they've done with it. I'll do it. I won't question it. I'll take chemicals. It doesn't matter. I'll believe when I go wherever. I'll believe that, and I'll take it. And that's it. We've become, as Freud said, and I keep repeating, children running around in adults' bodies, always looking for the parent figure to come in and save us. And so then what do you hear people do? Complaining, like always telling the mum, do you know what they did to me? Oh, they're awful. Do you know what they did? You know what she said? Do you know what they did? And that feeling of, I'd be okay if the rest of the world had stopped doing what it's doing. Look at what's the dog's doing. Bloody hell, what's it doing? We don't realise that these, like children, animals read our language. They read it. We don't read theirs. We're far too self-absorbed. We're not reading theirs. The animal has to learn our language, our evil. It has to learn whether to dodge, whether you're angry, whether you're feeling okay. And it just like any slave, it just smiles at you all the time. Do you see what I mean? And we put nooses around there and say, oh, they're my best friend. Oh, I want one of those. I want one of those animals. I want to take that away from its family, and I won't think twice about it. I'm going to take it out of its natural environment. I'm going to take it away from its family because I want it. And that's all that matters. So we become, the theory is that we'll kill things, we'll, mutate them, we'll eat them, we'll damage nature, we'll stop all the seeds. Do you see what I mean? Because we're all farmers, really. We've all got seeds. There's a male and female for everything. And that's what our evil does. It destroys the very good thing that's on the right hemisphere of the brain. So we're literally destroying ourselves because we've all been brought up to. And, so that's why when you're hearing all these things and you get conflicted or puzzled, or it sounds, so when you say it makes you laugh or it sounds a kind of way because it's so simple, in that way I've explained it, can you see it?
Yeah. And I can see that when you were talking, there were loads of examples that were coming to mind in my experience about how confusing it is as a child and growing up when you get the lies or the contradictions. And I was trying to think of like ones that have influenced me that I've experienced. It were like, like that bit about I'm your parent and I'm keeping you safe and stuff like that. And, you come to me if there's a problem. But yet in the environment that I was brought up in, my mum had a very short fuse. So if I did anything wrong, I got a smack and I got shouted at. And so there's that contradiction. You're the one keeping me safe, but I've got to behave in a certain way because if I push you too far, then you'll turn on me as well. And also about how...
And you're taking on that responsibility. If I push you too far, rather than it's your mind that's telling you that, I'm not pushing you at all. Your mind is disturbed, and so I have to be careful of your mind and kind of swerve it, really.
Yeah.
So you're not the problem. Mind is the problem.
But how I interpret it was, I've got to not do these things. I've got to.
Yeah.
And just
so
like,
I'll be okay if the environment stops.
And the other message is about how stranger danger, but yet my mum, who's the one looking after me and says she loves me, will give me a smack if I don't do what she expects me to do or wants me to do, and then I'm being sexually abused outside the family, but with somebody I know. So, but I've got to be wary of strangers and the outside world. And it all, I think, I just felt so confused growing up about the different messages that I'd got. Yes, we do listen to you. I don't want to go to school. Tough, you're going. It's like, well, you're not listening to me then, are you? Do you know what I mean? I'm simplifying it, but that's when you get that day in and day out, and just the messages at school about could do better, try harder. These exams are really important. They influence what group you're going to next year. They influence your GCSE choices, But then you get all this and all this pressure on you. But yet the day the results come out, don't worry, it doesn't matter what you get. It doesn't matter what you get. As long as you tried your best, Don't matter, you can resit them. It don't matter. Look at who's been successful and they've got no qualifications. Yeah, up until that point, it's like, it is like a lie, but I just knew it as confusion.
But it is, it's a lie, because if you think about how many people have used what they learned at school when they're an adult, how many people use that? And, you know, as an example of, you know, the mind study, Mr. Silver studying the brain,
Yeah.
he had no education, and like you said, there are many successful people that have no education. So because he didn't have an education, it afforded him to be on his open all of his brain up, because he went inside himself and brought out his own wisdom. So it's that where you get these conflicting information that you know you have separation anxiety when you're sent to school. And then children now get separated even younger, and they knew then in the 80s that children are in trauma when they get separated from that's when they're studying 5-year-old children. So to do that earlier, you know, so it's like these things in society that we're told that are so special and precious, and you've got to do this. It's like the only important about it is that you're a slave, and you're just going to learn to work. And that's all it is. It's not really interested in you as a being, because you're not taught it. You're not taught about your other side of you. You might have a little bit that plays about a little bit, but we're not going to take that serious, because this is more serious than that. And then people, you know, want freedom. They feel, you know, feeling, oh, this is working, or and you just take your mind off it. We're doing something rather than having your mind on it. So we're being told then to distract ourselves from this problem that we feel, or do something else, or manage it, or cope with it. But yet it's constantly being programmed into us, because when you watch a TV program, it's programming your mind. It's literally telling you what it's doing. When you watch an advertisement, it's programming your mind. It's telling you what it's doing. So when somebody, you know, like when I say when you're young and you put your coat on because you're going to get your death of cold, so we're being programmed with illness. Then we're being programmed to normalize the abnormal. So now we're being programmed to normalize illness, and it's okay. Do you see what I mean? So in the factory eating machine, I'll say that here you go and you eat the chemicals, and then you go get medicated by chemicals. It's like, if you said, you know, does that sound flavoursome to you?
No.
And it's that, but we get addicted to them. So it's where we're doing things, because it becomes, we're so busy in here, we're so troubled by it, that it becomes hard work, because you're exhausted. You're exhausted by constantly having keeping time for somebody else, like your parent. When you're, you know, when you're a child, you realize your compliance in your prison, because people then fear, oh, I'm going to get done off my boss. Oh my God, he'll tell me off if I'm late again. It's like, no one can tell you off. You're an adult. Do you see what I mean? They don't have a right to do that. But there are certain things that we agree to. We agree to because we have these labels of, he's my boss, therefore he's over me. It's like, no, when you go to work, you're in a symbiotic agreement. I give you my skills and you compensate me for it. In only that agreement is, I can shout at you, I can tell you off for being late, I can this and I can that, I can that. Do you see what I mean? Because often you get a contract, but we don't write one out and say, there's yours as well from me, because we're so compliant, and that's the biggest thing that I believe that we learn.
And we're always told from a young age, right through to adulthood, to keep trusting the people who are lying, but dismiss when you find out it is a lie. Just dismiss that little bit and go back and trust them again. I'm thinking, like with the health service, I know I always go on about the negative impact that it's had on me, and the how I've been let down. But it's like, I'll get you cured. I'll start seeing you, and then it's like, oh no, we're not now, or we haven't got funding for this, or you don't fit this criteria. Go away now, or we're discharging you. But then you're expected to go back to them when you need the help again. It's like, you lied to me. You blatantly lied to me and were dishonest, and now you're asking me to go back to you and trust you, and you wonder why I'm not engaging.
And then you can see about back to the beginning again, where I spoke about community. Well, you're only community if you tick a box then, so it's not going to work. So at this, it tries to figure it out in the left hemisphere and it doesn't work. And then now we want people abused to try and trust us. How are you going to change all that then? It's all over here. Do you see what I mean? How are you going to change that? you're in a system where you don't fit into a box because you're not a robot, you're a human being. So you don't often fit into a box. And if you have things like people say a community or things like that, then if you don't fit in the box, are you still invited into that community, or are you going to have a conflict in it? Do you see what I mean? And then if you don't fit into the box of trusting, then are we going to change what we're doing for you, or are we just going to say, oh well, you can't trust us on this occasion? Do you see what I mean? How's it going to work? So the very thing that we're trying to figure out how to get out of is the very thing we end up winding back in, and then it'll stop for a while, and then we'll learn another new buzzword. Do you see what I mean? And all
what
these
gets
things.
me is about lies. It's a bit of a different tangent, but I'd rather somebody be on the level with me and go, look, I lied about that, or we couldn't keep that. I couldn't keep that promise. I couldn't have that commitment, or this has changed. Instead of trying to cover it up and dismiss it, or even turn it back on yourself, I much rather somebody be open and honest and go, shouldn't have said that, made that mistake, these are the boundaries that we've got, or it's whatever, just to be open and honest. But because that isn't helping you build other trusting relationships, because your experiences is even when they lie and you're caught out on it, you cover it up and try and get out of it and gaslight. You know,
well, that's yeah, that's because the person doesn't want to face themselves, because everybody really, when you look at what people are doing, they're just their own walking advertisement. They're advertising themselves to you. So if you meet somebody that lies to you, they're not lying to you, they're lying to themselves. So it's seeing it like that, that when we take something in, it's because it's something about us we dislike, or it's because they've hit a scar. So whatever they've done, when somebody's in front of you doing something, when you're impacted by it so much so that you want them to stop, it's about looking at yourself and saying, what is it about me that I'm seeing here that's reflective about me? Because everyone you see they're just a walking. If evil, as I say, if you've got shit in the bag, that's all you're going to get out of its mouth. Do you see what I mean? So I'm not calling people that. It's just as a metaphor, but if when people are speaking to you, say like somebody's very judgmental and then they're being judgmental towards others, then there's something about them in there that when they're constantly complaining and all this that, there's something about them. It's like that you're seeing. So when somebody lies to you, they're not lying to you to hurt you. They're lying. Then when you have a look in the background of it, well, children lie for a safety thing, so they don't get done, proper done, as you say. Yeah, do you see what I mean? So adult, because we're, parts of us remains there, then we don't want to, because that's the thing, is the programming is that when you're at school, you're going to lie when you don't do it. Do you do your homework? Don't get it. Do you see what I mean? So you do that because you don't want to get into trouble. And when you're an adult, if you're in a job, you equally don't want to get into trouble because you're programmed that somebody else is going to tell you off. There's somebody over us all the time. So in our minds, there's a parent figure or a whatever figure that's going to tell us off. So we carry these from childhood, and we don't realize I'm an adult now. No one can tell me off, and I don't need to be shouted at because I'm late, because I didn't intend to be late.
And that from childhood into adulthood led me to be so ultra compliant that I am. But also when I did make a mistake, I would lie and cover it up rather than be take accountable for it.
And that's why you have trouble with people that are lying to you, because whatever we take in and we dislike about ourselves, we'll dislike in the other person, because the world's a mirror to who we are. And if we see something about ourselves we dislike, we want rid of it. So it's like, I'll be okay if you stop doing that. It's like, no, you'd be okay if you stop doing it. So that's what we end up doing. We're here to teach each other, so we can grow to be better within ourselves. I don't mean that you need to improve yourself. I don't mean anything like that. I don't mean that you're defective in it anyway. I don't mean anything like that. I mean better, to feel better, a being, to be better for ourselves. So our experience is not the experience that you have. I mean like that. You don't, you know, we're taught, oh, when I just want my parents to be proud of me. I just want them to be proud of me. It's like, why don't you feel good that your parents are? Don't you feel good enough? Because everybody, don't you want them to be proud of you? Why aren't I good enough as I am? And that's the other message that we're told. We have these conflicts going on in society, and that's the other conflicts that we have as well. So often you're doing well because you want somebody to be proud of you, so you can feel good enough. You stand there and you cap and you, look at me, I'm good enough today, and I'll go back to feeling crap tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's only a temporary.
Yeah, because
fix.
it's a lie. It doesn't work. So in the left hemisphere of the ego is a lie. It's all a fake, false narrative that you're on an hamster wheel going around chasing something like a dog chasing its tail, or something that's already yours. The dog already has a tail. You already are good enough. You already are successful. You already are a genius. You already are all those things. Because you've got to remember, when you're a child, no one teaches you to speak. No one teaches you the language. You learn that by yourself. They might repeat something that you don't quite say correctly, but ultimately you don't have a teacher teaching you. No one teaches you to walk, really. It's your instinct. You're instinctively a genius. And then it's only by experience things that you don't experience that your mind becomes busy, it becomes confused, it becomes stressed, it becomes anxious, it becomes all those things. So that's why I say the insane don't know they're insane. When you're born into something like that, you're going to ever be chasing the good enough on the hamster wheel. Yeah, and you're going to ever be chasing within yourself to feel good enough, not in the, you know, because you already are. So when people say, like, the conflict of, oh, I think I'm beautiful, like, who does she think she is? You see what I mean? You're not allowed to say nice things about yourself. But when you say awful things, oh, don't say that. So I know about the conflict, you know, that you're speaking about. But when you're, you know, in the beingness, you just feel it. You don't have to express it to everybody. You feel it. You don't have to tell yourself it, remind yourself. You don't have to get dressed up and do all of those things to do that. It's something that you don't need somebody else's opinion. You don't need, you know, somebody, oh, you don't even tell me, because we always want something off someone else. And that's what, you know, it's like, we learn I owe you, I owe you, and you owe me.
Yeah. And we actively, as a culture, like you say, knock it out of babies and children and stuff going up. It's just made me think back to last year when I did a lecture at a university about my experiences and the impact that it's had on me. The tutor, so this was like 18-year-olds plus, because there's mature students, and obviously they didn't want to censor what I wanted to say and allowed me to share my experiences. But there was lots of, you have to spoon feed them. They don't know how to think for themselves. And it got me thinking about how, like you've mentioned before, you have reading lists and this, and you've got to learn, but you can only learn this stuff. You don't learn this stuff. And what about, you've got to spoon feed them. They won't be able to put two and two together, and you've got to be really basic and explain things. And also, don't say too much reality, that will upset them. And it's like, well, that's not reality then, is it? Or we're trying to censor and shape what young people are exposed to rather than the truth.
Yeah, because, and even that's a lie, because you're being asked to tell lies. So we can't get away from the lies that's being told to us, and then we repeat them, and then we say, oh, you're a bad because you lie. And it's like, well, you lied to me around Christmas, didn't you, about Santa? But we just forget about. Do you see what I mean? Oh, you're old enough to know better now, and it's kind of dismissed. But actually, it has an impact of, I can't trust the people that I'm with.
Yeah.
And there are many impacts. I cannot trust these people that I'm around. And so, how many people then are in fear and have anxiety, and they're trying the best in that confusion to you know, how many teenagers, you know, are depressed, are tired, are confused, are all of those things. Do you see what I mean? Because you know, and then they've normalized it so much, and this thing with AI where people believe what they're told. Oh, it's more intelligent. It can do it. How do you know? How do you know that everything seems to be more intelligent than us? Because we're always saying that we're not good enough. Your body's defective, so that's genetic. I don't believe that for 1 second that things are genetic. I just think that if you're in a certain environment, which you are, you're gonna you're putting certain things in your body. You have certain beliefs. You're gonna make them true. Yeah, you're gonna see them. You're gonna look for them. You're gonna believe them. You're gonna believe it's possible. You're gonna fear them. You're gonna put all the energy to them, and you're gonna then it's gonna come about. So it's that where you were already believing in a lie to start with. Our humanness does not come into it whatsoever, because as you said, in this culture, it's like, well, it is a cult, but it's a cult around the world that we're doing. Around the world, people are stressed at work, they go to school and all of that. It is a cult, and the only ones that aren't in it, as this is supposed to be called the civilized, which actually means the opposite to me, the beasts, is the civilized, but it's not, because when you look at what civilization does, it actually is a cruelty towards us as human beings, towards ourselves, towards humanity. And then the savages are like people in tribes that are just living with nature, in harmony with it, and doing all those things. But we all look civilized because we can wear these costumes that we've gotten given to look civilized. But even that's like you're told what to wear, when to wear it. So we can continue the business side of things, but business as no place for humans. Not really. So that's why my belief about the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere is what I see. It looks to be true. So it's not about really us doing right or wrong or doing anything like that. It's about us telling the truth about ourselves, telling the truth about that. Yeah.
And I'm finding that I'm looking more inward and about my truth and about who I am, instead of looking at other people. I will turn that back. If something's bothering me with another person, I'll look at what that is about me. And I'm more inquisitive and honest with myself. And as I say, the good, bad and the ugly, it's, I'm having to look at the not so nice sides, and also exploring that there are some positive sides which I didn't think there, because I've lived with that confusion all my life.
And it's that where it's not looking at yourself in an accusing way. It's looking to understand, why am I the way I am, because we tend to often the how cruel we are can get covered up. So I'll give you an example. We'll take this into another one if you'd like. I'll explore this one a little bit, but you mentioned some of it as well. Is how for centuries it's been told that males are better, stronger, and all this than females, and apparently we come from Adam's rib and all of these kind of things. And if that were the case, then why aren't men giving birth from the rib? Number one. And number two, it's like, well, they can't exist without us, can they? So equally, we can't exist without them, or we'd be another species anyway if we were here, maybe. So yeah. But it's looking at that as well, and looking at how one of the things about males and females is that men marry children at young age, and how we've continued that in terms of you mentioned it about when 20-year-olds hanging around schools and saying, oh, but you're mature for your age. Do you see what I mean? So then the child wants to be an adult, wants to be, because they're being accepted, but it's usually a vulnerable child that hasn't been accepted. And then, oh, well, she looked that age, or she were asking for it, or all this. And then females constantly get blamed, don't they, for many things in that respect. And the other thing is about when you spoke about abuse and paedophiles, which the meaning of that is child lover, and the meaning it's that that person does not love a child. They're not. They do not love a child. They're and so maybe that. I guess I find that word difficult because it's a child attacker.
Mm.
It's a child rapist. That person does not love a child. They attack children.
Mm.
They rape children, but they certainly don't love them.
Mm.
They love the experience that they feel just as the same as anybody else that loves taking drugs because of the feeling it gives them. They don't love the drug. They just love the experience of it. So I think it's that where we have words, certain words, and even though we know what it means, it's like, well, that person, what is behind that word? What does that sound like to you? If you said a paedophile, you'd know sexual abuser. But if I said to you that person's attacked a child, they've attacked a baby. They've attacked a teenager.
Yeah,
they've
a 6-month-old.
A 6-month-old. That's what they've attacked and
Yeah.
raped. That's what they've done.
But we cover it up with a name,
we have layers,
don't
we, that cover up, and it's that we cover up our beast side. We cover that up by saying things and say, oh, do you know what that means? That means a child lover. It's like there is no love for that child whatsoever. There's no, somebody is even considering that child. They're just taking what they want. They're just using them like an object, just as people use things, objects.
Which is similar to why one of the reasons why I don't refer to the person that abused me as a perpetrator.
Yes.
Because it masks them. It makes them into a mythical being or something, a monster that's hidden away. It's not. It's a person who decided to put their own needs first and sacrifice somebody else because of it.
Exactly. Who decided to attack you, who decided to rape you. However they want to butter it up, however, that ultimately
like saying by, oh, they were mature, or they were asking for it, or it was the way that they were dressed, or,
But when you say to somebody, you look mature, it's not an excuse, it's a cover-up to say, I already know how old you are. So I'm aiming for you, because if I wanted to sleep with an adult, I know exactly what adults look like.
And it's just popped into my head that, in some cultures, that how they still allow an adult to marry a child, they're just open and honest about it. Rape and that of children is happening in our country, but we're just not being honest about the level of it. Nobody's collecting stats. There is stats, but nobody's really collecting statistics. It's not marked on anybody's medical records or anything like domestic violences and stuff and other things. We're just keeping it. We're invested in keeping it secret.
But that's why you see, the word civilized is one of the massive blankets. So when you look underneath, it's actually savagery. That's why it's named as the beast.
But again, it's coming back to that word lie. We just cover it up, lie and confuse the situation. We're not like them because we've got a law against it. The law is doing nothing because it's happening to thousands of children.
But that's what there's always been a lie. Do you see what I mean? If there was anybody that's civilized, would say, we're going to take you as a slave, but we're civilized. Do you see what I mean? And then when we take the noose off your neck, we're going to train you to have an invisible noose, but we'll call your slavery just paying the tax man. So equally, you're still going to have to we're going to take something off you, and if you don't give it to us, we'll threaten you. Do you see what I mean? So you're still being threatened, but in another way. But the threat starts from when you're young. So it's like that, the fear, and then you have to give us something. It's like, but I'm a human being, and so are you. So what authorizes you to come into my life and be able to take things and take the planet and own things and own the road and do all that? It's like, what would you call that then? What do you actually call that? But it's like a story that we have these made up stories for.
We're asked to trust in a very untrusting world.
Yeah, so the thing is that we're in an hotel, and the hotel has provided everything for us. I mean, it's full board here. We came, it's beautiful. Food was provided, things were provided for shelter, as I've said, everything. And then when you finish coming here to be a being, death will come and you have to check out, and that's it. But some people decided that's not going to happen. That's all going to be mine. And so, you know, it's just orchestrated in different ways, but we use labels to mask the left side.
Next video about labels then.
Okay. How do you feel after that?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.